Good day, Ma'am Elenita. I'm Jesreel Tasic from BS at English 2B, and today I'm going to discuss the Week 5 module in Literature 1. So, first, I'm going to explain the various literary elements of children and adolescent literature. So, first is character. In children's literature, character is used to mean a person or personified animal or object. Identifying with the characters in a story allows for a deeper comprehensions of the text because kids are making these kinds of self connections. So next is plot, also known as a narrative. The plot is a sequence of events that occur within the story and usually follows a cause and effect pattern. The plot is the main substance of your work. It's the thing that happened, the actions that occur, the part that is bound to be suspenseful, engaging, and captivating. So, next is the theme. Theme is the big idea of the story that the reader can determine by making an inference, an educated guess. Theme is a different theme is different than the main idea, which is a simple statement of what the story is about. So next is the setting. A setting is where a story or event takes place. Authors can describe a setting to include geographic location, time, weather, and environment. A setting is important because it is a narrative element that helps the actions or events of a story takes place. So next is the style. Author's choice and arrangements of words to create characterizations, setting, and theme. For the next is the point of view, the vantage point from which a story is presented. The side of the story of the reader sees as revealed by the author through the characters. Point of view is seen through the eyes and minds of characters as the plot unfolds. Next is the tone, the author's attitude towards what he or she has written. For example, humor, mysterious, creepy, straightforward, a matter of fact, or exciting, boring, etc. So, for the next, I'm going to explain the various verbal elements of children and adolescent literature. So, first is the dialogue. Dialogue is the exchange of spoken words between characters in a story. It can reveal character traits, advance the plot, and provide information about the story setting. So, next is the diction. Diction is the author's choice of words. It can impact the tone of the story and help to create the story's atmosphere and mood. For the next is the syntax. Syntax refers to the arrangement of the words and phrases to create well formed sentences. It can impact the pacing of the story and the reader's emotional response. Next is repetition. Repetition is the use of words, phrases, or ideas multiple times in the story. It can create a sense of emphasis and helps to reinforce the story's themes. Next is allusion. The allusion is a reference of a well-known person, place, or event in history, literature, or popular culture. It can add depth and meaning to the story and create connections with the reader. So next is the foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is the use of clues or hints to suggest future events in the story. It can create tension and anticipation of the reader. So next is the irony. Irony is the use of language to convey a meaning that is opposite of its literal meaning. So it can create a sense of surprise or humor for the reader. So next is imagery. Imagery refers to the use of sensory details to create a vivid picture in the reader's mind. It helps to bring the story to life and can create a more immersive reading experience. So next is the figurative language. Figurative language includes devices such as simile, metaphor, or personification. It helps to create more vivid and engaging reading experience by using comparisons and other rhetorical devices. So next is rhetorical question. Rhetorical questions are questions that are asked for effect and do not require an answer. Um, they can create a sense of anticipation and engage the reader in the story. So next, I'm going to explain the various visual elements of children and adolescent literature. So first is the illustrations. Illustrations provide young readers with an immediate vision of the characters, setting, and mood of the story. Children instantly respond to the characters from their visual appeal. We all know and love many picture books characters from their image alone. So next is the layout. Book layout, design, or typesetting is the art of creating a book's interior. It involves all the decisions that influence the way readers experience the content of your printed book. Fonts, including fonts, spacing, and the styling of chapter, headings, margins, and etc. So next is typography. Typography is the art of arranging letters and text in a way that makes the copy legible, clear, and visually appealing to the reader. It involves font style, appearance, and structure, which aims to elicit certain emotions and convey specific messages. So, next is the color. Color symbolism in literature is when a writer uses color to represent something outside of its literal sense. Color is an essential tool in storytelling, having the power to instantly set a tone and mood. So, next is symbolism. The use of symbolism allows writers to make their stories more complex. Many people also use symbolism in everyday life. For example, the color white stands for purity, black represents evil, roses stand for romance, a butterfly symbolizes transformations, and a dog can represent loyalty. So, next is the visual metaphors. These are the images that represents abstract ideas or concepts. They can help to convey complex ideas in a simple and accessible way for young readers. So next is the visual spacing. It refers to the way images are arranged on the page to create a sense of movement and progression in the story. It can help to engage the reader and create a sense of anticipation. So next is the perspective. It refers to the way images are presented in relation to the story. Different perspective creates different moods and tones for the story. Next is air style. It refers to the way images are drawn or painted. Different air styles can create different moods and tones for the story and engage the readers in different ways. So next, I'm going to discuss the various types of characters. First is the protagonist. It is a character working against the protagonist, um, who, in most cases, the reader wants to see foiled. The antagonist creates the conflict and is generally seen as the bad one, but like the protagonist, there are also different types of antagonists. Next is foil. A foil character, by definition, is a device used by writers or contrast or reflect another character, often your protagonist as the main character, by highlighting their traits, appearance, personality, or morals. Next is protagonist. It is the character who drives the action, the character whose fate matters the most. In other words, they are involved in and often central to the plot or conflict of the story, but are also usually the emotional heart of the narrative. Next is deuterogonist. In literature, the deuterogonist, or secondary main character, is the second most important character of the narrative, after the protagonist and before the tritagonist. Next is the round character. Around character is a nuance and well thought out. They usually play an important role in the story. They are written specifically so audiences can pay attention to them for a specific reason. Next is tertiary characters. A tertiary character is sometimes referred to as the third most important character in the story. They often only pop up in a scene or to perform a plot relevant function and then leave for good. So, next, I'm going to discuss the characteristic of a setting. So, a setting can be a real time period and geographical location of a fictional world and unfamiliar time period. Setting also includes the physical landscape, climate, weather, and the societal and cultural surroundings that serve as a backdrop for the action. So, time period. The time period, it can be a historical or contemporary. Historical time period can create a sense of nostalgia or add a layer of complexity to the story, um, while the contemporary settings can make the story feel more relevant and relatable. So next is physical action, physical location. It can be a city, a rural area, a specific building, or even fictional world. The location can affect the mood and atmosphere of the story. It can influence the actions of the characters. So next is the climate and weather. The climate and weather of a story can create a specific atmosphere and the effect of the actions of the characters. Next is the social and cultural context. It can provide important context for the pilot, and the for the plot and the characters. This includes social norms, traditions, and values that are specific to a particular culture or time period. Next is symbolic elements. The setting can also include symbolic elements that represents larger themes or ideas. For the next is the atmosphere and mood. The setting can create a particular atmosphere and mood that helps to convey the tone of the story. So, this can include a sense of mystery, danger, or even humor. So, next, I'm going to discuss the three elements of a plot. So, first is the chronological order. This refers to the order in which events occur in the story. It is important because it allows the audience to understand the story's timeline and the sequence of these events. Next is the conflict. Conflict is a central tension of the story that creates plot. Conflict is what drives the story forward and creates tension and interest for the audience. So next is the pattern of actions. This refers to a plot structure, which is the series of events that unfold over the course of story. The pattern of action typically involves an introduction, rising action, climax, um, falling action, and resolution. So next, I'm going to discuss the types of point of view. So first person point of view. The reader accesses the story through one person. It's like reading the main character's diary. You will notice the pronouns like I, me, why, my, we, us, are in the first person in writing, while the second person point of view uses the pronoun you. This point of view establishes the reader as the protagonist or main character. It is the most difficult point of view to maintain in a longer piece or creative writing. For the last is the third person point of view. The narrator has the ability to know everything. You'll see the pronoun he, his, she, her, they, them, their, it, its in third person point of view. This point of view allows for the greatest flexibility and also creates the most complexity. So next, I'm going to discuss the various devices of style. So first is the connotation. Connotation refers to the emotional or cultural associations that words carry beyond their literal meanings. Writers can use connotation to create specific tone or mode in their writing. So next is the imagery. Imagery refers to the use of vivid and descriptive language to create mental images in the reader's mind. Imagery can be used to create a specific tone, convey emotions, or paint picture of specific setting. So next is figurative language. It refers to any use of language that goes beyond its literal meaning, like metaphors, simile, or hyperbole. These devices are used to create more imaginative or vivid description of something or compare of two unlike things in order to create a deeper understanding. So next is the understatement. It is the opposite of hyperbole. It refers to the deliberate downplaying or something in order to create an ironic effect. It can be used to create humor, create a sense of irony, or emphasize a point. Next is allusion. It refers to the reference of something outside of the text, such as historical event, a work of literature, or cultural icon. Writers use illusions to create a deeper meaning or connect their work to a broader cultural context. So next is symbol. A symbol is an object, action, or image that represents a larger idea or concept. Writers use symbols to create a deeper meaning or to add layers of complexity to their work. So now, next is I'm going to discuss the various devices of sound. First is alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of the same sound at the start of a series of the words in succession whose purpose is to provide an audible pulse that gives a piece of writing, uh, just like a piece of writing, a lulling, lyrical, and or emotive effect. Next is rhyme. A rhyme is the repetition of sound between two words, usually the sound after the final stressed syllable of each word. So next is the scheme. A rhyme scheme is the pattern of sounds that repeats at the end of a line of the stanza. Rhyme scheme can change line by line, stanza by stanza, or can continue throughout a poem. So next is the rhythm. Rhythm is the pattern of stress within a line of verse. All spoken word has a rhythm formed by stressed and unstressed syllables. So lastly, why are these elements important to children and adolescent literature? It's because children literature can not only be used to teach students how to read and write, but can also help to increase their language, emotional, and cognitive skills. As previously stated, students can learn about global values and become more skillful at problem solving as well as thinking critically and creatively. It can enhance development of language skills and other critical thinking skills that provide the foundation of learning. So that's all for Module 5. Thank you.